Hello and welcome to my review of Survivors of the Flux. Now I'm going to really try and be, upbeat in this review, but if I'm completely honest, I'm really frustrated. I mean, frustrated at the show, but mainly frustrated at me. I have not seen any other reviews of Survivors of the Flux, so this might just be my opinion, and this might be just an incredibly hot take, but I'm really irritated at me because I let myself believe that Doctor Who Flux could be good. I think I should have known by now that I've been burned time and time again by Chibnall's Doctor Who, and especially his, latter ends of, his series arcs. And this is no different. Survivors of the Flux is easily the worst episode of Doctor Who Flux so far, and quite frankly, it's a complete mess. I just think the more we get of this series, the more I kind of think earlier episodes, while they're great within their own right, they just don't do enough to move the plot forward. But then I also think, is there actually much plot in Doctor Who Flux at all? Let's try and stay specific to the episode and, go from there. In terms of plot lines, this week there is not one that stands out as particularly good. Apart from maybe the Grand Serpent in Unit. And trust me, even that plotline isn't perfect, because it feels repetitive a lot. But it just does something a little bit new, a little bit different, and also it brings back Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, which is the best part about this episode. The return of Kate Lethbridge-Stewart and the setup for her to, be in the finale in like a big role is fantastic. That's brilliant. They should not have spoiled that in the next time. Not at all. They should have kept that for the episode, because that would have been a great surprise. In terms of other plot lines, let's talk about the Doctor plotline, because obviously, that's quite important. It's very difficult, because on the one hand, this is the driving force in terms of interest, because this plotline is very answer-based. It's the one that generates interest. But as we found out with The Timeless Child, and just in general with this season as well, it just hasn't given us any decent answers at all, anything interesting. And unfortunately, it is always gonna be held back by the fact of, I do not like the idea of The Timeless Child. And it's not just a bad twist, it's an awful twist, and any developments on that, however much I think I'm going to enjoy them, I just don't end up enjoying them. Ever since The Timeless Child, the Doctor as a character has been in a really bad position. And that is no remark on Jodie Whittaker. I actually think Jodie Whittaker has got incredibly better since her run, and Doctor Who Flux is her best work in the role. If you think about it, think about how much time we spend with Jodie in a room, confused about what's going on and waiting for answers. And then if you also think of the time she's cracking well-delivered but not funny written jokes. If you compare, the little side jokes of, the Tennant era to what Jodie is given here, there's no comparison. The humour feels jarring and distracting. Apart from that, what really has Jodie been given to do ever since Timeless Child, including this series? It's honestly a real shame, because I was one of those people who really thought Jodie has a fantastic performance in her as a Doctor, and still does. And it's that mix of, I'd have probably liked her to have stayed for another full series, but at the end of the day, her leaving is when we get new writers, and that leaves me really conflicted, because I would love more of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, but we have to get rid of her for Doctor Who to return to some form of quality. It's really tough. It's really tough just to have this much of a blemish on Doctor Who. Let's quickly talk about other plot lines before we go into some more overarching points. I'm so sorry. This is not organised, but I hope I'm making some form of sense. Yaz, Dan and Jericho, yeah, fine. It all just feels a little bit unnecessary. This plot line and the Vinda and Belle, I think her name is, those plot lines very much feel like we've got nothing for them to do until episode 6, so we've kind of just got to have them wandering around a little bit, not doing much to drive the plot forward. Which in Belle and Vinder's case is fine, because I'm genuinely invested in their relationship, and also the episode doesn't focus on them enough that it just feels like we're slogging along. And while I'm also invested in Yaz and Dan as a character, and then Jericho along for the ride, sure, I'm invested in their characters, but their portion of the episode just feels so sloggy and overdone, and it's too much forced humour, and nothing really gets done in the episodes, and it's quite poor. It's really tough because at least they aren't stringing us along for the answers like the Doctor segment is, but you're kind of always waiting for, the Doctor or the unit storyline to come back, because at least they're moving the story forward or trying to give you some plot information or just trying to do something fun or interesting. I mean, going into episode 6 at this point, I'm not excited because I can tell exactly what it's gonna be. The Doctor will almost definitely get her memories back. There'll be some reveals that, let's face it, probably won't be that interesting. Ruth will come back, all the fam will get back together again, but there'll be some convenient way that it'll all get solved, all the problems will turn out alright again, but Jodie probably still won't have all the answers. It's weird that Doctor Who has become predictably formulaic, but also can make weird twists and turns that you can't predict, but are still really bad. This review's gone on long enough, and I don't think I can actually say much more about this episode without, it being too speculative, because the finale's got a lot riding on it. The finale can really improve previous episodes, including this one, or the finale can completely ruin it. But overall, the wind hasn't been knocked out of my sails with the Flux. Viva la Russel T. Davies. Again, I do just want to quickly say, if you are a big Chibnall fan, or if you enjoy the era, I'd love to have some discussions with you in the comments. As always, people, it's one of those things. If you genuinely are enjoying what's being presented to you, I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoy it. I would be a bad person if I didn't want yous to enjoy it. I'm just not enjoying it at the moment. Yay. Thanks, guys. Next review out on Sunday, and I'll be ranking all the episodes of Doctor Who Flux. I wonder where this one's gonna come.